begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Go. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy to see you all again. My name is Kevin Lohr, and as chair, I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development, for this Thursday, December 19th, 2024. Like I always do, I like to go around the room. First, I'll just with the directors, and I'll recognize a quorum, and then I'll ask the rest of the folks around the table to introduce themselves. So,
Hope Knight, President, CEO.
Hilda Rosario, Directors.
Benson Martin, designee, DFS.
Francine Del Monte, board member.
Lorraine Harris, board member.
John Long, board member.
all right. Well, thank you all. So we certainly have a quorum. I'll recognize a quorum. And then Noah, you want to start?
Great. And I'll just acknowledge that Kevin Eunice is homesick, so would have been here. Otherwise, he may be on the line. Otherwise, Noah Raymond, Chief of Staff.
Arden Sokolow, EVP Real Estate.
Joe Tazwell, New York City Regional Director.
Simone Bethune, Senior Project Manager, Loans and Grants.
Kristen Eiler, Vice President for Programs and Operations, Connect All.
Bob Tuttle, AVP, Real Estate Development and Planning.
Good morning. Chris Wasif, Senior Project Manager, Real Estate.
Robert Biederman, Senior Project Manager, Life Sciences.
Tony D'Alessio, Deputy CFO, Controller.
Ray Orlando, Chief Financial Officer.
Felisa Hawkeiser, Director of Compliance.
Goldie Wexel, Deputy General Counsel.
Joshua Bloodworth, General Counsel.
Allison Walsh, VP, Real Estate Development.
All right, good. And that's it. And thanks for the, I see Josh back there. Don't be shy.
Joshua Breitbart, Senior Vice President, Connect All.
Awesome.
Tony Samancic, Special Counsel.
All right.
Casey Brenner, Associate Counsel.
Good.
Debbie Royce, Corporate Secretary.
Anna Cuby, IT Department.
Thank you. All right. And I'm sorry, we have Eunice on the phone? Or is anybody else on the phone? No.
Not yet.
All right. So thank you all. I'd like to remind staff members joining us remotely today to please mute your audio until you're ready to speak. The public was given an opportunity to attend today's meeting and to provide comments on the agenda items. I do not believe we have any members from the public with us today. In addition, the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments by noon yesterday. We received 2 written comments related to agenda items 2A and Roman numeral 10A, and they were distributed to the directors and have been posted online at this meeting, on our ESD's website page. Of course, the directors have received all the written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time during the presentations. At this time, I'll ask if there are directors with any potential conflicts of interest with respect to any of the agenda items today. Benson?
Yes, DFS will abstain from voting on section 7A and B.
Okay, we'll note that, and we'll note it again when we get to those items. And I'll recuse myself on the item 3A relating to Stony Brook University, a grant to them, as I chair the Stony Brook University Council. So we took care of that. No other conflicts for the records. So our first item on the agenda is the minutes of the November 21st, 2024 Directors Meeting. I will move them. Lorraine seconds them. Are there any comments, revisions, or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The minutes are approved. I will now hand it over to Hope Knight, our President and CEO, for her President's Report.
Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, directors. Here at ESD, we're closing out the calendar year strong and gearing up for an exciting start to 2025. Earlier this week, for example, Governor Hochul announced the opening of New York's first cell and gene therapy hub. Located in Buffalo at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center, the $98 million manufacturing facility will support the research and development of life-saving technologies, including cancer-fighting cell therapies. This project was supported by a $30 million ESD investment, which helped Roswell grow from 6 specialized clean rooms to 20. That makes it the largest academic cell and gene therapy research and manufacturing facility in America. Earlier this month, our Office of Strategic Workforce Development awarded more than $15 million to 5 projects across upstate. To date, the state has invested nearly $60 million that will leverage more than $65 million in private and public funding. Those investments will support over 14,000 trainees for more than 2,000 business partners. And the funding that comes as Governor Hochul announced New York State's record high number of clean energy jobs. Last year, 178,000 people were employed in clean energy jobs across the state, a nearly 8,000 job increase. That reflects the state's commitment to growing the clean energy economy and jobs for the 21st century. And last month, Governor Hochul announced that Microbird would be expanding into the North Country. The Canada-based company is the largest manufacturer of small school buses in North America. It's going to invest $30 million into a manufacturing facility in Plattsburgh, creating up to 350 jobs. Microbird will be utilizing the facility being vacated by Novabus, which is shutting down its Plattsburgh operations next year. This means that more than 300 of the Novabus employees will have the opportunity to transition to similar employment with Microbird. This would not have happened without the direct involvement of Governor Hochul. He engaged the companies, and it's a great example of how ESD works to develop creative solutions to generate economic growth. And I'd like to recognize Mike Morse from our Strategic Business Division and North Country Regional Director Stephen Hunt for helping to get this project across the finish line. So in closing, this is our last meeting of 2024. I'd like to take a moment and express my gratitude, as I'm very proud of all that we've done collectively. Together, we continue to build a stronger, more inclusive state economy and create opportunities for New Yorkers. Thank you for all of your hard work. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. I wish you health and happiness and all good things in the new year. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Hope. We wish you the same. Hope and I also joined the governor a little more than a month ago when she announced the Cell and Gene Therapy Center on Long Island. And Hope, can you just explain, is it similar to what just got built in Rochester or Buffalo? Or are they going to be compatible, or is one center going to focus on something differently than the other?
Where they're going to be hubs, and so it's going to create a network around the state that'll be available to other academic institutions and researchers. The one in Long Island is going to be more of a campus. It's going to be a $430 million project with Northwell having plans to build out, more facilities on that campus related to the cell and gene therapy.
Whereas one in Buffalo is more just like one building?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. All right, but they'll be doing similar work.
Yes, and leveraging the work across the facilities.
Terrific.
Yes.
Great, thanks. Anybody else have any questions for Hope? All right, hearing none, we'll continue with the agenda. We have a corporate action item. We have David Whipple, our Senior Director of Industry Development, and he has an item for us.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. This is David Whipple, and presenting on a proposed offshore wind staging, pre-commissioning, and marshaling port on the working west shore of Staten Island. This, for a brief bit of background, this is a proposed 32-acre port facility. Notably, it is seaward or located outside of the bridge restrictions, which for very large offshore wind components and offshore wind installation vessels it causes a restriction in the activity. So notably, this is outside of those bridges, and the directors are requested to authorize New York State Urban Development Corporation to accept federal grant funding, including a grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation Maritime Administration, also known as MARAD, in the amount of $48,008,231 from the Port Infrastructure Development Program of 2022 on behalf of the Arthur Kill Terminal LLC, the project developer. Approval for the use of these funds will be sought separately. The directors are also requested to authorize Empire State Development to enter into the required grant agreements with MARAD and the associated agreements with the developer Arthur Kill Terminal to administer and develop the project. With that, conclude, and thank you.
Great. Thank you, David. David, once we approve this, is the money already here, and is it locked in? And is there any, I know the offshore wind industry is a little nervous about the incoming administration in Washington and how they may maybe pause, maybe that's a polite word, some of the offshore wind activities. And if that was to happen, would that jeopardize this project, or is this project moving, regardless?
So this board action will allow us to enter into the needed grant agreements. The further we are in the process of, this documentation, the less at risk any federal funding would be. With regards to the broader question about the viability of the offshore wind industry, New York remains a nation leader with a 9,000 megawatt offshore wind mandate, and the offshore wind, the epicenter of the offshore wind industry in the U.S. is the Northeast. So the combination of state mandates for offshore wind in the Northeast, will continue to make this a very sought after and critical resource, not only for the New York offshore wind industry, but for the Northeast.
Great, got it. Good, thank you. Any questions from any other directors? Okay, hearing none, we don't have any comments from the public on this item, so I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, David. All right, next up, we have Allison Walsh. She's our VP for Real Estate Development and Planning, and she's going to present the spotlight presentation for us on prison redevelopment in New York State.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Hi, Allison.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. My name is Allison Walsh, and I'm here to talk about Governor Hochul's Prison Redevelopment Commission and the work that's been done to redevelop shuttered prisons since the commission was launched. So as part of the 2022 State of the State announcement, Governor Hochul proposed the creation of this commission with the goal of repurposing closed prisons to drive economic growth and close service gaps. At the time of the commission's creation, the state prison population had decreased by 57% since its peak in 1999, which had led to the closure of more than 20 prison facilities across the state over the past 2 decades. The commission was to take into account the 6 new prison closures and also consider sites that had been previously closed and were sitting vacant. The commission was made up of 15 members, with Commissioner Knight and Darren Walker, president of the Ford Foundation, serving as the chairs. At the first meeting, the commission set 6 goals, which focused on understanding the impact of the closures on the local economies, documenting site conditions and challenges, creating or modifying existing policy programs around prison sites and dispositions, utilizing state funding to maximize programs, to facilitate the redevelopment, and reviewing policies and developing frameworks to evaluate future closures and redevelopment proposals. The commission met 4 times with a number of subgroups meeting between meetings, and additional ESD staff undertook extensive outreach and engagement strategies that involved touring each closed facility and meeting with stakeholders in each prison community to understand the impact of the closures and hear their ideas and recommendations. ESD worked closely with the Department of Corrections to identify 12 sites for the commission to consider. These consisted of 6 newly closed prisons and 6 previously closed sites. Some sites are in very rural and remote areas, and 2 are within the line of the Adirondack Park. Others are close to population centers, both large and small. Since the commission issued the report, 2 other facilities have closed: Great Meadow Correctional Facility in Washington County and Sullivan Correctional Facility in Sullivan County. And you can see here the original closures that the commission studied and how they're dispersed throughout the state. At the end of its first year, the commission released 13 recommendations in a report that included detailed site analyses of the 12 closed prisons and considered redevelopment opportunities for each site. The recommendations include a number of action items, including prioritizing the release of RFPs, establishing a community engagement process to support outreach and consensus building, prioritizing housing and future prison RFPs, and investigating renewable energy opportunities and partnerships. An RFP for a downstate correctional facility located in Fishkill, Dutchess County, was issued in July 2023. This site was prioritized by the commission for RFP due to its proximity to large population centers. In June 2024, Governor Hochul announced that Conifer Realty had been conditionally selected to transform the site into a vibrant mixed-use development that would feature new housing and community space. The multi-phase project is expected to create up to 200 construction jobs and up to 1,300 units of housing over 10 years, including permanently affordable options. ESD is working closely with Conifer and the town of Fishkill to get necessary approvals now.
And Allison, was this prison already closed? Or
It was. This was one that had closed.
It was just sitting vacant?
Yep. It had been, I believe this was one of the more recent closures, but it was vacant and decommissioned.
And we oversaw the RFP? And
we did.
Conifer was selected?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And who owns the land? Do we own it, or does the Department of Corrections own it, or it's just the state of New York? Or?
So I believe this one is owned by us. A lot of these sites are owned. Sometimes the buildings are owned by us, and the land is owned by the state of New York. There's a couple different ways that it's worked out, but
historically, or did the transfer of title go to us once we were trying to repurpose it?
No, typically the transfer there was a large transfer of prisons to the UDC in the 80s that we typically own, if not all, then at least parts of a lot of these sites.
Got it. I'm sorry, I'm pelting you with questions before you've done your presentation. And does Conifer's plan include mostly demolition, or are they repurposing these structures?
Pretty much complete demolition. There's a berm around the exterior that I believe they're keeping, but other than that, all the buildings will be demolished.
Just didn't know if some of the cells were going to be
Well, you know.
They're not very spacious, but.
How old was the facility?
This one wasn't too old. This was probably built, I think, in the probably 70s or 80s. Some of our sites, which you'll see in the presentation, were former tuberculosis hospitals built in the 1800s, but this was one of our newer sites.
And what's your plan call for? Is it all housing? Is it mixed use?
It's primarily housing. I think there'll be some retail involved, possibly like a supermarket or things like that. That we're definitely still in the process of figuring out the full site plan with the developer and the town, but primarily housing with an affordable component.
So the Conifer is going through the entitlement process now with the municipalities.
Yep.
And is it going to be rentals, ownership?
A mix, primarily rentals, but with some ownership involved
Market
as well.
rate, all affordables? Or
A mix as well. Yep. I think I don't remember the exact ratio, but the RFP required a affordable component.
Oh, thanks.
I know there might be more demand because of the Mid-Hudson region, but, so many of these prisons are really in rural areas. Is the same focus on redeveloping them for affordable housing purposes? And my point is that there isn't necessarily big populations in the rural community. So what are they going to do with those?
I will.
I
can show you in a couple slides. But no, yes, you're right. There's sometimes
that question.
Sometimes that housing makes sense, and other times that it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
And
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So Watertown is another site that was prioritized for RFP. This is a large, sprawling, formal federal Air Force base. And we have been working with the town of Watertown to develop an RFP, which was released in July 2024. This RFP is also designed to encourage the development of housing, although it is in a more rural area. It is close to a population center. It's in the town of Watertown, but right outside the city of Watertown. And we are encouraging the development of housing in a mix of unit sizes and affordability ranges. This RFP is still open. An extension was issued earlier this year. So we are still waiting to see what the responses are for this and what we're going to be able to do here.
But this was an Air Force base, not a prison?
It was an Air Force base that then became a prison. So it was
Got it.
So Livingston Correctional Facility, definitely one of our more rural ones. The Prison Redevelopment Commission's work was built largely around the idea that the communities impacted by the closures needed to have a voice in the process. And during these conversations, many communities expressed interest in taking ownership of the sites themselves. This led ESD to work closely with our agency partners at DOCS and the Office of General Services, along with our internal legal team and the governor's office, to establish a process through which local governments or local economic development organizations could take control of these sites. And our first case was Livingston Correctional Facility, which had closed in 2019. The Livingston County IDA had expressed interest in taking over the site to develop a business park in an underserved part of the county. In February 2024, ESD and Livingston completed the transfer, making it the first completed transfer of a site studied by the Prison Redevelopment Commission for economic development purposes. Livingston County IDA is developing the 80-acre site, including available agricultural acreage for commercial and industrial use.
Do you know why it closed, by any chance?
So it was the decline of the prison population in general across the state that led the Department of Corrections to close a number of these sites. They kind of have an internal process that helps them decide which sites to close that we're not involved in, but generally the prison population declining over
57%.
Yep, over many years.
Is that because there were alternatives to incarceration?
I think it's a number of reasons. A lot of the lower level, like drug offenses, no longer, were resulting in imprisonment, things like that. So a lot of the smaller or the lower, the medium and low security sites are closing. Wayne County IDA also expressed interest in pursuing ownership of the Butler Correctional Facility site. This site was closed for many years, and ESD had previously issued an RFP for the site that did not receive any viable responses. And this is one of our more rural sites that did not naturally lend itself to being used for housing. ESD's real estate team is currently working with the Wayne County IDA on finalizing the transfer. The plan is that the IDA will take the site from ESD, and then they will immediately transfer the site to a for-profit entity, in this case Westbury Lumber. So Westbury is an adjacent, it's a neighbor to the prison right now. They're looking to expand. So this will put the parcel back on the tax rolls and allow a successful local business to expand and grow while remaining in Wayne County. So we are close to the finish line on this one. Fingers crossed. ESD has been working with both the Seneca County IDA, Seneca County, and the Willard Task Force to identify a new use for the sprawling Willard Drug Treatment Campus on Seneca Lake. This is a 550-acre site, which includes more than 75 buildings and a mile of Seneca Lake shoreline, and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. In summer 2024, Governor Hochul announced that Seneca County had issued an RFP for a lead developer for the site. They are pursuing a transfer of the site from New York State to the county for redevelopment. They sought to identify a preferred master development with whom the county would enter into a public-private partnership, and they also sought to identify potential development partners with an interest in specific portions of the site. This is an extremely large site. The RFP did not receive any responses for a master developer, but did receive a number of interests from potential partners. So we're now working with the county to determine the best way to move forward with the interest they received, because they didn't get a master developer, but lots of other interest in the site. We're trying to figure out if there's a way we can make the interest work without transferring everything at once, or kind of trying to get creative. This is obviously...
It looks like a beautiful location.
It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful site. Yeah, there's a lot of potential there, but also a lot of, I mean, it's old, it's sprawling. A lot of it is crumbling.
And was this a psychiatric facility or a prison?
It was originally a psychiatric facility, then it became a prison.
Right. It looks like Pilgrim State-ish on the island a little bit.
Right, very much so. Yeah.
Very nice.
So Gowanda Correctional Facility, which is in Erie County, has a feasibility study underway. We have Labella Consultants working on this, and the purpose of the study is to help ESD evaluate different reuse and redevelopment options in collaboration with local elected officials and stakeholders. ESD will develop a list of possible land uses and contextual development scenarios that could occur on the site in order to make the redevelopment feasible. So this one we're just getting started on. We just signed a contract with the Labella a few weeks ago, and they're beginning the outreach and the work on the sites right now.
Where is this in western New York?
It's at the very southern end of Erie County, right? I think it actually borders another county as well. So it's technically Erie, but I'd say probably like 45 minutes outside Buffalo or so. And then lastly, a number of the closed facilities are located within forest preserve counties or the Adirondack Park. The New York State Constitution makes it tricky to redevelop these sites with third-party developers or community partners, but reuse by other state entities is an option. These sites include Camp Gabriel's in Franklin County, Moriah Shock Facility in Essex County, Mount McGregor in Saratoga County, Great Meadow in Washington County, and Sullivan in Sullivan County. The Prison Redevelopment Commission has made a formal recommendation to partner with state agencies and communities to support redevelopment of sites adjacent or within the park, which we continue to do. That's Mount McGregor, which is another this was originally a tuberculosis hospital that became a prison, but again, a beautiful site right in the foothills of the Adirondacks. Yeah, but tricky for us to do anything with at this point. So that's the conclusion of the presentation and the sites we're currently working on. My colleague Katie and I handle all the prison sites outside of New York City and most of ESD's upstate sites, and we're definitely proud of the progress we've made on these prisons, and we're fortunate to work with really great colleagues at DOCS and OGS and within ESD to make it possible, and happy to answer any other questions you might have, or if you know anyone interested in a prison site, let me know.
That's great. Well, thank you, Allison. Since we do a lot of our workforce training through ESD as well, I'm wondering, have all these prisons been closed for like decades, or were some of them recent, and did we have an opportunity to use our other programs at ESD to train people who used to work at these places who maybe no longer had that opportunity?
Yeah, so some of them are long closures and many years old, and others are somewhat recent. Docs does, when they do closures, they ensure that they don't fire anyone as a result of the closure. Staff is transferred to other sites, and they have a process through which they can choose which sites. Obviously, that's still a big impact on the community because people who were working and living in that community are now moving to other places in some cases. So we do actually, Commissioner Reardon was on our prison commission and our workforce development team. We had a whole workforce development work group on as part of our commission that kind of considered the opportunities that we offer as well as the Department of Labor, and those connections were made as well for the folks that were impacted by the closure.
Great, got it.
Is there a historical relevance to, particularly the one in the Adirondacks? I mean, I took a boat ride to Alcatraz. It was interesting. Yeah, right.
So that's been raised as well. Definitely something that we have thought about in many cases. It's also the Mount McGregor is directly next to Grant's Cottage, so there's already kind of that tourism pull where President Grant vacationed, and we, definitely something we think about. We still kind of need someone involved to kind of make those things happen from a financial perspective. And that's what makes all of these sites in our forest preserve counties difficult. We can't even lease to a third party on those sites, which we're working with the DEC on trying to figure out how we can kind of loosen up some of those regulations and get something happening on those sites.
Yeah, because I think it actually might be interesting to people, especially up in the Adirondacks.
Yeah.
We have a lot of tourists.
Yeah. Definitely. It's right outside Saratoga too, so it's really not very remote. Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah, good questions.
And I just wanted to mention 2 prisons here in New York City. One is on the agenda today that we have RFP'd and have designated developers for. So Lincoln Correctional Facility is on the agenda today. And also Bayview, which is in Chelsea, that we have selected a developer for.
Oh, terrific.
Both residential
And then
projects.
don't we have another one on the agenda too today with Creedmore, or is that one of the ones you just mentioned?
No, well, Creedmore was a former psychiatric facility. That's why I didn't mention that in the contest. Not in the prison.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Oh, very good. All right, anybody else have any questions for Allison? So Allison, when we first met, you were handling the REDCs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you did a great job then, and it's I love to see when people do a good job and get promoted and get elevated, and now you're doing other things. So keep on doing what you're doing, and well done today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, good. All right. So, all right, we're going to move over to the regional projects section now, and we'll start in Western New York. And Karen Utz, our regional director of ESD's Western New York region, I believe is on the phone with us.
I am. Thank you, Chairman Law. Good morning, directors. The directors are requested to approve a $31 million grant to the town of Amherst from the Regional Economic and Community Assistance Program that we refer to as RECAP to cover a portion of costs associated with a $42 million infrastructure project. This West Amherst Interceptor project includes the reconstruction of a sewer line, creation of new overflow chambers, and installation of a new pump station. The resulting work will relieve the overburdened sewer system that currently represents an obstacle to Amherst's smart growth redevelopment and supports the town's proposed Boulevard Mall redevelopment project. Site work construction is underway. Because funds for this project will be dispersed during the course of construction, ESD is now recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for this project. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Karen. Well, this is an item we received a comment from the public on, and the concerned member of the public asked about exposure to the town if the development didn't go forward. Do we have an answer for that? Is that a legitimate concern or fear, or and do we plan on respond to this individual who wrote to us?
The award for this interceptor project is not contingent on the completion of the Boulevard Mall project. So there is no payback or liability to the town should the town not complete the Boulevard Mall redevelopment. Our office has had occasional telephone interaction with this commenter 1 or 2 times over the last couple of years where we did advise the commenter as to our process, and we will be happy to do outreach to him directly.
Great. I appreciate that, you know. So thank you for that. Anybody else have any questions? So I will move it. Francine seconds it. No additional comments from the public. So all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Let's move over to the Finger Lakes. Bridget O'Brien, our Deputy Director of the Finger Lakes Regional Office. I believe she is on the phone.
I am. Thank you very much. Good morning. Today we are asking the directors to approve a $538,233 capital grant to the Rochester Institute of Technology from the Regional Council Capital Fund. Founded in 1829, RIT serves more than 21,000 undergraduate and graduate students. And this specific grant supports the supply of state-of-the-art equipment for life science laboratory suites for the Genomics Research Lab cluster, enabling RIT to promote collaboration with industry partners, enhance existing partnerships for life sciences firms, and also build new relationships for applied research, workforce development and training, and specialized curricula. This enabling Rochester and the Finger Lakes region to reach its potential as a hub for genomics research. And with that, I will be happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Bridget. Any questions for Bridget? No comment from the public? I will move this. Hilda seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Bridget. We'll move over to Mohawk Valley. 2 items, 2 separate votes, and Allison Madmoon, our Regional Director from Mohawk Valley Region, on the phone, I believe.
Yes, good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Directors. The Directors are being asked to approve a Round 12 Regional Council capital grant of up to $400,000 to be used for a portion of the cost of rehabilitation and construction for Herkimer Diamond Mines in Herkimer, New York. HDM Assets LLC is a privately owned and a subsidiary of Herkimer Diamond Mines, Inc. HDM Assets LLC manages the Herkimer Diamond Mines KOA Resort, a 265-acre tourist destination that offers both educational and recreational amenities in the village of Herkimer. The resort features a reinvented mining village with dining, educational, and shopping opportunities, in addition to a quarry where visitors can prospect for double-terminated quartz crystals, locally known as Herkimer diamonds, due to their clarity and geometry. The resort also includes a campground with a range of accommodations from tent sites to RV parking and glamorous camping or glamping cabins. The surrounding nature includes mountains, waterfalls, and lakes that attract outdoor tourism to the resort. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, camping and outdoor tourism have found renewed popularity. HDM Assets decided to expand the resort to accommodate this increased demand. The project nearly doubled the number of accommodations, adding 98 new RV parking sites with utility hookup infrastructure at a cost of more than $2 million. This project has resulted in increased tourism in Herkimer and the Mohawk Valley region. The total budget for this project is $2.1 million, and ESD's participation in the project for this grant will be 19% of project costs, or $400,000. The project is consistent with the MVRADC's tourism strategy to increase direct tourism spending in the region. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none, no comments from the public. I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion approved. Continue, Allison.
The directors are being asked to approve a Round 9 Regional Council capital grant of up to $261,000 to be used for a portion of the cost of construction and renovation for the Ford Block building in downtown Oneonta. Springbrook, New York, Inc. is a privately owned nonprofit organization located in Oneonta, Otsego County that specializes in providing services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. In 2019, the organization was awarded a capital grant to assist with the renovation costs to convert the aging, underutilized Ford Block building into a vibrant mixed-use complex in downtown Oneonta, filling the local housing needs and providing economic development opportunities. The completed renovations resulted in 24 units on the upper floors and commercial space in the heart of downtown. The total budget for this project is $9.2 million, and ESD's participation in the project for this grant will be 3% of project costs, or $261,000. The project is consistent with the MVRADC strategy to remove blight and create vibrant downtowns and main streets throughout the Mohawk Valley. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Hearing none, no comments from the public. I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
We will move over to the Capital Region. 2 items, 2 separate votes with Mike Yeverly, our Regional Director.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, Directors. Today, I will be requesting the Directors approve a $2.5 million Regional Council capital grant to the State University of New York at Albany for a portion of the costs associated with the construction and renovation of a former historic high school building in the city of Albany. Totaling around 65,000 square feet, the project included the creation of modern classroom space, research labs, offices, and hands-on engineering areas. The project was a Capital Region REDC priority project with a total project cost of just over $35 million. Albany fully renovated the south wing of the former Albany High School building at 135 Western Avenue, a block-long landmark in Midtown Albany, into the state-of-the-art home of its College of Engineering and Applied Sciences. This project site will house more than 1,200 students, faculty, and researchers, and create new energy and investment in an important commercial and residential corridor, generating spin-off development in an Albany neighborhood that has been challenged in recent years. Designed to be more than just another academic building, but as an economic development driver for the neighborhood, Albany invested in an existing structure that has been in the neighborhood since 1912. It has community significance to many area residents, and its proximity to Albany High School and nearby elementary and charter schools will attract students of all educational and economic backgrounds to careers in engineering and computer sciences. This is Albany's most significant expansion in Midtown since it formed the downtown campus in 1929. This phase of the overall project is complete and has allowed the State University of Albany New York at Albany to educate students this semester in teaching and research space built specifically for engineering and computational applications. The project is consistent with REDC's Innovate in Place making strategies. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, Michael, the $2.5 million from us, where was the other $32.5 million? Was that from the state and SUNY, or did the city or the county or anybody else contribute to this repurposing of what sounds like a really cool project?
I think I don't have the full breakdown of that budget, Chairman, but I believe it was a majority through the SUNY system, through their own foundation, and the SUNY system. It was the other source of funding.
Got it. Thank you.
I don't believe there was multiple dollars in it.
Got it. Anybody else have any questions for Michael? Hearing none. No comments from the public. So I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Next, Michael.
So I will be requesting the Directors approve a $2 million CREDC Round 6 capital grant to the town of East Greenbush for a portion of the costs associated to extend and improve an existing road, bridge, and municipal infrastructure at Temple Lane in the town of East Greenbush, Rensselaer County. The project had a total cost of $15.8 million. The town of East Greenbush is in eastern Rensselaer County and is a suburb of Albany. It was first settled by the Dutch around 1630 and has been established as a town since 1855 with a current population of 16,748 residents. The improvements, including a new road, associated water and sewer infrastructure, bridge, and improved intersection to include new traffic signal, all planned to facilitate the expansion of Regeneron's manufacturing facility and related commercial development. These improvements have allowed for significant job creation opportunities within the town while mitigating significant traffic impacts. The project is consistent with CREC's place strategy to leverage community revitalization and developments to drive new investment, vibrancy, and industrial diversification by facilitating improvements to support growth. Happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Any questions for Michael on this matter? Hearing none. No comments from the public. I will move it. Lorraine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Michael. Next, we're moving to New York City, and here in the flesh with us today, Joe Tazwell. Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. I have two New York City projects for your consideration. The first is a request for approval of a Regional Council capital grant of $300,000 and a Market New York grant of $160,000 to Women's Housing and Economic Development Corporation, or WEDCO, in connection with a $2.96 million construction and equipping of the Bronx Music Hall, a 14,000 square foot cultural and educational space that will include a flexible 250 seat performance space and be the permanent home of the Bronx Music Heritage Center. Bronx Music Hall is located at the base of Bronx Commons, a new mixed-use development in the Melrose neighborhood of the South Bronx, which includes 305 units of permanently affordable housing. WEDCO, which was founded in 1992, is a Bronx-based community development organization whose mission is to give South Bronx residents access to all the resources that create thriving neighborhoods. ESD provided early support for this project, consisting of a Round 6 Regional Council capital grant of $2 million for the $11.6 million construction of the building and a Round 8 Market New York grant of $152,000 for marketing costs. This Phase 2 project involves enhancements to the new building that are designed to make the facility highly visible and attractive as a performance venue and to attract performers and audience members from the Bronx, regionally, and beyond. These enhancements include the installation of an exterior canopy and marquee signage, acoustical treatments, as well as drapery and rigging for the main performance theater. The project was designated as a New York City Regional Priority Project in REDC Rounds 6, 8, and 11 in support of state and regional strategies to support affordable housing development, downtown revitalization, and workforce development. I'm happy to take any questions on that.
Sounds like a new project. Anybody have any questions for Joe? No. We have no comments from the public on this, so I will move it. Francine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Continue, Joe.
Great. For the second project, this is a request for the approval of a Regional Council capital grant of $700,000 to St. John's University in connection with a $3.7 million cost to purchase and install equipment that will be used in specialized active learning classrooms, state-of-the-art simulation suites, and modernized laboratories as part of St. John's new undergraduate nursing program. These facilities are part of a much larger project at St. John's involving a new $106 million health sciences center, a 70,000 square foot energy efficient academic building, which will house the new nursing program and unite the university's wide ranging health sciences offerings within a single learning environment. Construction on the center began in 2022 and was completed in September 2024 in time for classes. St. John's, whose main campus is in Queens, is organized into 5 undergraduate schools and 6 graduate schools offering more than 100 bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree programs, as well as professional certificates, and serves nearly 22,000 students. The new facility will enable St. John's to train student nurses with the most innovative training tools and techniques available. The new undergraduate nursing program is expected to produce approximately 125 nursing graduates per year. The project was designated as a New York City Council regional, a priority project, in REDC Round 11 in support of state and regional strategies to support workforce development. I'm happy to take any questions.
Just want to say, I visited this facility with the governor on her Queen's Day about 2 months ago. It's very impressive, and it's going to give St. John's the ability to enroll more nursing students, which we know we have a deficit here.
Definitely need.
Yeah.
Wow, terrific. Very good. All right. Anybody have any other questions for Joe or comments? All right, hearing none. I'll move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. And if I didn't say it, there were no comments from the public on that matter either. All right, thanks, Joe. Okay, we have a Market New York grant program. Ross Levi, and he's our Executive Director and Vice President for Tourism.
Thank you, Chairman Long. Good morning, board members. The Division of Tourism is presenting for the board's consideration a Round 12 Capital Market New York grant for the Storm King Arts Center for $1,200,000. Storm King is an outdoor museum in the Mid-Hudson region where visitors experience large-scale sculpture installations throughout its 500-acre property. The project funded by Market New York includes two elements. The first is a new, accessible welcome experience that will consolidate and expand visitor parking to a single area and include a welcome center with outdoor lobby and pavilions for essential visitor amenities like ticketing, orientation, restrooms, and group gathering. The second element is a conservation, fabrication, and maintenance building that will serve as a workshop, studio, mechanical shop, storage space, and office. Storm King has met the required 80% minimum match for this project, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ross? None? No comments from the public. I will move it. Hilda seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? The motion carries. Thanks, Ross.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Okay. Restore New York Communities Capital Grants. Do I see Simone here? Yeah, she is. Yeah. I know, you usually take up a lot of the agenda, so, now I just turned the page. I knew you had more. I knew you didn't just have one, Simone, but the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to everyone. We are seeking director's approval for a round six, $368,557.50 grant to the village of Pulaski in the central New York region. The village will oversee the partial demolition, construction, and renovation of the two-story property at 4811 Salina Street. The project was completed in September 2024, and the property was partially demolished with renovations made to the second floor for conversion of the space into 3 market-rate apartments to be used for short-term rentals. The project totaled approximately $643,000, with the owner contributing $97,422 in equity to the project. We are presenting only a portion of the grant at this time. The total grant is $1.5 million and will also be applied to demolition of 3 additional properties on the same street, but these buildings will be presented to the board at a later date when the owners are ready to move forward with disbursement proceedings. And I can take any questions.
Is it true that Pulaski is the best place to go salmon fishing in the state of New York?
I believe so, yeah, because some of these apartments actually are going to be used or probably used by the fishermen in the area.
Very good. Now, I know some folks who always go up there. I hear it's pretty exciting. Any questions for Simone? Okay, we have no comments from the public, so I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. And now we have some at the direction of projects. And is this the one that Stony Brook is in?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, no?
G.
Yes, oh. So do I have to, we're doing one vote for all of these?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'll be recusing myself on this matter, since Stony Brook is one of the recipients. But the floor is yours, Simone.
Okay, thank you. As a reminder, at the direction of grants referred to those commitments listed in the New York State budget that enhance the state's communities through cultural, educational, research and development, and civic organizations. These projects originate from the governor, the New York State Assembly, and the Senate, and ESD is named to administer the funding. ESD does not select the recipients of funding. So we are requesting approval of the following 6 awards, items A through F, totaling $3,488,900, which includes $1,876,700 from the New York State Assembly and $1,612,200 from the New York State Senate, to historic performing arts centers located throughout upstate New York from the Local Assistance Alive Downtowns program. The Alive Downtowns program was created as a legislative response to a 13-member coalition of performing arts venues across upstate New York who brought awareness to the financial insecurity they experienced in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. In fiscal year 2024-25, a total of $5 million was lined out in the New York State budget, which included $1 million total from the New York State Senate and $4 million total from the New York State Assembly. ESD's directors previously approved an earlier appropriation of this program back in October 2023. Funds will be applied to general operating costs for these 6 theaters, and the remainder of funding will be brought for CEO approval and will also come before the board at a future date when those projects are ready to move forward. For the next award, item G, we are requesting director's approval for a fiscal year 2023-24 $1 million local assistance award made available to the Research Foundation for SUNY Stony Brook University at the direction of Speaker of the New York State Assembly, Carl Hastie of the 83rd District. Funding provided under this grant will support activities related to maintaining National Cancer Institute designation for the Stony Brook Cancer Center. The National Cancer Center Institute has established constantly evolving guidelines that must be met in order for a center to achieve this status or seek renewal of existing status. Grant funds will support key recruitments in leadership positions that will allow for the expansion of the Cancer Prevention and Control Program, community outreach and engagement activities, and further development of both clinical and basic research programs, which the grantee has already initiated as of June 2024. For item H, we are seeking director's approval for a $650,000 local assistance assembly-sponsored grant to the Brooklyn Alliance made available in fiscal year 2024-25 via a multi-sponsor request from Assembly members Brian Cunningham of the 43rd District, Monique Chandler-Waterman of District 58, William Colton, District 47, and Stephanie Zeinerman from Assembly District 46. The grant will be used for operating expenses to support the activities of the Brooklyn Alliance, the economic development arm of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. In particular, the Alliance will apply funds to Brooklyn Goes Global, the marketing and export assistance program for Brooklyn's manufacturers, which among other endeavors includes the Summer Fancy Food Show, a gathering of specialty food and beverage industry professionals at the Jacob Javits Center, and the Brooklyn Bridge Employment Career Expo. Funds will be applied to these activities through the end of 2024. For item I, we are seeking director's approval for a $24 million special appropriation grant to Feed More, Western New York, made available at the direction of the Executive Chamber. Feed More, located in Hamburg, New York, Erie County, was created in 2020 when Meals on Wheels for Western New York and the Food Bank of Western New York merged. Feedmore will use funds to construct a 197,000 square foot centralized food distribution center to meet the growing demand of food insecurity in Hamburg, the geographic center of the region with easy access to major thoroughfares. The organization's new home will double warehouse space, more than triple the meal production capacity of the commissary, unite core staff under one roof, and provide dedicated clean rooms for repacking bulk food into quantities usable by families or individuals. Project costs will total approximately $93 million with an estimated completion date of August 2026. And finally, item J, we are seeking director's approval for a $10 million New York Works EDF grant to the Apollo Theater Foundation, Inc., made available in fiscal year 2020 through 2021 at the direction of the Executive Chamber. The The Apollo Foundation was established in 1991 as a not-for-profit dedicated to the preservation and development of the historic landmark Apollo Theater of Harlem, the circa 1914 home of legendary artists, aspiring amateur performers, and cultural events that are fundamentally connected to New York City. Construction will include a renovated lobby and facade with expanded community access, including a cafe, store, and performance space. The historic theater will be renovated to Silver LEED certification with improved acoustics, automated light rigging, and removable seats in the orchestra. To date, the majority of the architecture drawings have been completed, with construction expected to begin this month. The project is estimated to cost approximately $55 million. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Simone. Are you sure you're through?
I think so.
Well, thank you. Good job. All right, so anybody have any questions for Hope on these?
I actually do. Are these member item requests, or I want to understand from Simone, are these individual member item, or are they actually funding that was being, that was created?
I'll take that.
I'm trying to, I just want to understand where the
it's a
funding.
good question because I was confused when I got here too. In fact,
Because you have some from the executive.
so at the direction of is either monies that were proposed by the governor or specific legislators in either the Assembly and the Senate, and they give it to us, ESD, to administer it. So really, we don't have a lot of discretion, but we still make the applicants or the beneficiaries of those, what they used to call member items, do the GPPs or the grant disbursement agreements after they complete the project. Then we approve it, they get the money.
Right.
So, but that's what they
I just want to
are.
know where the funding source was coming from, so.
They're all in the state budget.
Okay.
And they're not coming out of any ESD program or our annual budgets. So, usually either done by the governor or the speaker or the president of the Senate.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood if they were.
No, it's a good question,
Okay, thank you.
But at the end of the day, we don't really have a whole lot of discretion on
No,
these.
I know, I get it.
We're being directed, that's why we call them at the direction of.
Which is true.
So, okay, any other questions? We have no comments from the public on this. Hope, I see, has moved it. John has seconded it. And I'm abstaining. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. All right. Thanks, Simone.
Thank you.
All right. We have a Life Sciences Initiative Fund, and Robert Biederman, our Senior Project Manager for Life Sciences.
Thank you. Good morning. We are asking the directors to allocate up to $1,499,998 in life science funds for grants to 3 academic centers from the second Biodefense Commercialization Fund application round, for which incentive proposals have previously been executed. This $40 million fund was created to accelerate the development and commercialization of life science innovations that address serious infectious disease threats while encouraging growth across New York's life science industry. Each Biodefense Commercialization Fund grantee is working with at least one life science industry expert who oversees and evaluates their progress towards specific milestones. Each of the 3 grantees described below has now met the requirements to receive their first disbursements. Columbia University is being recommended for a 2-year grant of up to $500,000 to support the development of a novel diagnostic tool utilizing single molecule method for viral detection by Dr. Jingyi Zhu and his group. New York University Grossman School of Medicine is being recommended for a 3-year grant of up to $499,998 to support Dr. Jeff Buka's antibiotics development by utilizing brewer's yeast gene expression. And New York University is also being recommended for a 3-year grant of up to $500,000 to support Dr. Kent Kirschenbaum's development of small molecule antiviral therapeutics. To date, ESD has committed a total of $25.5 million in grants to 11 startups and 16 academic centers. Biodefense Commercialization Fund recipients have raised nearly $360 million in external funding, filed 24 patent applications, and created 25 new jobs in New York State. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Robert. Again, these are grants, they're not investments.
Correct.
And the Biodefense Commercialization Fund, is that state monies in there, or are we accepting federal monies, then we put into this fund?
I believe it is all state money. However, some grantees do get NIH funding or BARDA funds, as well, hopefully because of the state funding that we've given them.
They'll be able to leverage and
Yes.
go to the feds and say, the state gave us some, now we're eligible for some federal funding.
Correct. That happened with one grant that got a large BARDA grant, partly due to our involvement.
Great, thanks. Any other questions for Robert? No questions from the public. I will move it. Lorraine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Office of Strategic Workforce Development, Christina Lopez, our Deputy Director. On the phone or with her?
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Directors. The Directors are being requested to approve the release of funding for the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's Pay for Performance Program operating grant to Opportunities for a Better Tomorrow, Inc., OBT, in the amount of $675,450. Opportunities for a Better Tomorrow, Inc. applied for a Pay for Performance operating grant through the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's grant funding programs. Based on the recommendation of the office and the ESD Commissioner, an incentive proposal was signed agreeing to provide $675,450 in funding to Opportunities for a Better Tomorrow. Creating Good Jobs in Brooklyn's Growing Clean Energy Construction Program is a 2-year project that provides students with the skills needed for careers in construction. The program will serve 100 trainees from underserved populations from New York City communities for opportunities in the rapidly growing clean energy sector. The construction pre-apprenticeship programs are 12 to 16-week paid training courses that provide worksite skills and training support and certification through the National Association of Building and Trades Unions, NAB2's MC3 skills certification, in addition to direct entry to apprenticeships with union partners. The construction pre-apprenticeship also provides robust wraparound support services that include participation stipends, free driver's license training courses, assistance with applications for driver's licenses, paid internships and work experiences, and access to on-site case managers dedicated to ensuring participant success. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for Opportunities for a Better Tomorrow to carry out this project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Christina? Seeing none, no comments from the public. I will move it. Francine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Christina. We have Connect All, Kirsten Eiler, our VP of Program and Operations.
Thank you, Chairman Law, President Knight, and members of the board for the opportunity to bring this matter to you today. The Connect All office is requesting the directors authorize 2 grant awards and the corresponding general project plans through our municipal infrastructure program. This program is funded through an award from the U.S. Department of Treasury's Capital Projects Fund. As noted in the materials, the 2 grants are for a total not to exceed amount of $59,626,817.00 to construct broadband infrastructure to serve over 18,000 locations in Chautauqua and Schoharie counties. These projects are consistent with Connect All's mandate to develop a robust internet marketplace that delivers affordable and reliable service equitably across the state. As a reminder, the board approved the guidelines for this program in September 2023 and previously approved 5 projects totaling $63,094,175.30 in September 2024. With the approval of these 2 awards today, the total amount for these 7 projects will be $122,720,992.30 to serve over 31,000 locations across 11 counties. The individual grantees, grant amounts, and project descriptions are enumerated in the director's materials, and I'm happy to take any questions.
So with this approval, we will have reached 122 million dispersed
Yes.
out of a total pot of what?
This program is a $228 million program.
Oh, so we're halfway there.
Yep.
Well, no, over.
Well, over.
Yeah, over 50%.
Yep.
Oh, very good. Anybody have any questions for Kirsten? Kirsten, are you new here, or is this your first time presented?
This is my first time presenting, but I've been here almost 2 years.
Very good. Well, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have no comments from the public. So all in favor? Aye. Oh, did I do a motion?
No.
No, motion. And Hilda seconds it. I'm sorry. I'm busy complimenting Kirsten, I forgot to do that. So there's a motion, there's a second, there's no comment from the public. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. All right. You did a good job. I did not do such a good job. Thank you. Okay, let's move over to New York Ventures. 2 items, 2 separate votes, and Jennifer Teagan, our Managing Director of New York Ventures, will share these with us.
Good morning, directors. Good morning, Chairperson Law. Today we're asking for approval for a follow-on investment of up to $500,000 in UVO Health. The New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund previously invested $1.95 million into this company. UVO is a New York City-based healthcare company led by a diverse team that supports federally qualified health centers, otherwise known as FQHCs, with administrative functioning to enable them to participate in value-based care payment models. FQHCs play a huge role in serving underserved patients, but are uniquely left behind in value-based care. There are a few reasons for this, in part because many FQHCs do not have a large enough number of patients to contract for that value-based care. Collectively, with 1,400 FQHCs that serve over 30 million people annually, including a third of people living in poverty and 1/9 of all children in the U.S. Because they provide access to care for these populations, they're also able to drive significant savings to Medicaid at an estimated 24% per patient. UVO Health is designed to take on the value-based care risk for the FQHCs and enables them to get rewarded for that work without the regulatory or operating constraints. The Innovation Venture Capital staff is requesting approval for an investment of $500,000 into this round of up to $15 million that will be used as working capital and market expansion. We've reviewed this with our external investment advisory committee that evaluated the business plans and growth prospects in the terms of the investment and recommend that we move forward with this investment. Recommend to the board. Thank you.
Jennifer, how would you describe UVO? Are they still in the startup mode, or are they more advanced?
They would still be considered a startup, but they just landed a really significantly large contract with a payer. So I think they're in good stead moving forward to be able to do the work that they are doing for the FQHCs.
Great. And this is an investment, so if UVO continues to succeed, ESD and the state will be a beneficiary of their success?
Correct. And our programs will be able to pay it forward to other startups in the community.
Great. Anybody have any other questions for Jennifer on this? All right. Benson is recusing himself on this and the next item. We have no comments from the public, so I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Continue, Jennifer.
Thank you. The second request is for our Emerging and Regional Manager Partner Program Fund. It's a $102 million program using federal, state small business credit initiative funding that provides equity investment for venture capital fund managers who invest in high growth New York State companies. We invest in these venture capital funds that are led by emerging managers or those that are focused on underserved regions of the state. subsequently, those fund managers invest our capital into multiple startups alongside other private funds, with at least one private dollar for every SSBCI dollar that's invested into a single company. Our team reviews and evaluates each application. Those applications will continue to be reviewed until the funds are fully exhausted. The directors authorized this program in 2022 and have approved investments in 10 fund managers to date. Today, we are proposing an investment in the Helm for up to $2 million. This is the Helm's second fund. The Helm is a women-led venture capital firm based in Hudson Valley. It invests in high-growth startups that are being built and led by female entrepreneurs in industries where women entrepreneurs have been underrepresented and underfunded, such as in hardware, healthcare, and climate tech. New York Ventures did our due diligence on the Helm and concluded that investing in this fund will help support the innovation ecosystem in New York State, and we're proud to recommend it to the directors to authorize this investment.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody have any questions on this one? No, we have no comment from the public on this. Benson will recuse himself. I will move it. Lorraine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
All right. We have a state small business credit initiative technical assistance program. Morgan Clark, the Assistant Director of Capital Access.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Good morning, directors. I will be presenting on the State Small Business Credit Initiative Technical Assistance Grant Program for the Capital Access team. We are asking the directors to approve the authorization to make individual grants to 8 organizations for a total amount, but not to exceed $3,250,000 to provide technical assistance to businesses throughout New York State. For background, SSBCI is a federal program administered by the Department of Treasury that is intended to expand access to capital, promote economic resiliency, create new jobs, and increase economic opportunity. In October 2022, ESD applied for the SSBCI TA grant program and received a notice of approval and a $10.9 million award in October of 2023, which was approved by the Board of Directors on November 16, 2023, authorizing ESD to accept said award. The Capital Access team was allocated $5 million of this award. The SSBCI grant program provides funding for eligible technical assistance providers to offer legal, accounting, and financial advisory assistance to eligible small businesses by helping them navigate the access to capital through ESD's SSBCI debt programs. The goal of this program is to support socially and economically disadvantaged individual-owned businesses, very small businesses, and small and medium-sized manufacturing enterprises to address specific barriers with a focus on financial literacy, legal readiness, and access to credit. Our team organized our program into 2 tracks to support our various SSBCI debt programs, each with distinct objectives and areas of focus. Track 1 is designated for general technical assistance. This track is focused on providing general technical assistance services that support 4 main SSBCI capital programs: the Capital Access Program, the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund, the New York Forward Loan Fund, and SSBCI Special Projects and Strategic Initiatives. The primary objective of this track is to assist socially and economically disadvantaged individual-owned businesses, very small businesses, and small and medium-sized manufacturing enterprises in gaining financial literacy, preparing for loan applications, securing capital, and strengthening overall business development to improve their access to capital and economic stability. Track 2 is specifically targeted towards contractor financing and the Surety Bond Assistance Program. This track addresses the unique financial challenges faced by contractors, particularly those working on government-funded projects. In September 2024, through ESD's website and email outreach, technical assistance providers were invited to respond to the SSBCI TA grant program RFA. We received 10 applications, After a review committee read and scored the applications, we recommend 8 providers to participate in this round of funding. The recommended 8 providers are located throughout New York State's 10 regions. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Morgan? See none. We have no comments from the public. So I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion is approved. Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the item that Hope referred to before, and that is the Lincoln Correctional Facility redevelopment project. And Christopher Wasif, our Senior Project Manager, will present.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Chairman, Law, and Directors. Today, we are requesting the Directors to authorize the various steps needed at this time to implement the proposed Lincoln Correctional Facility redevelopment project. The proposed project is a transformative initiative to repurpose the former Lincoln Correctional Facility at 3133 West 110th Street in Harlem into a sustainable mixed-use development. The project aims to address the city and state's housing crisis by providing critically needed income-restricted homeownership opportunities and community spaces. The Department of Corrections and Community Supervision closed the facility in 2019. To address the state's initiative to repurpose unused publicly owned properties, ESD issued a competitive request for proposals in March 2023 to solicit redevelopment plans for the site. By December 2023, ESD conditionally designated a development team comprising 65% minority and women-owned business enterprises led by Infinite Horizons, L&M Development Partners, Urbane Development Group, and Lemoore Development. Their proposal, called the Seneca, features a dynamic plan for a 22-story, 160,000 square foot building that includes up to 110 income-restricted homeownership units and 3 ground-floor community facility spaces. ESD staff completed a determination of responsibility for each of the entities that make up the development team and found each member of the team to be a responsible party. The proposed project will include up to 110 units, 35% of which will be 1-bedrooms, 47% 2-bedrooms, and 18% 3-bedrooms. These will be available to households earning up to 100% of the area median income, or AMI. The project will also include approximately 7,626 square feet of community facility spaces designed for local nonprofit use, and will include significant economic benefits, creating approximately 370 construction-related jobs, as well as 28 direct permanent jobs and 11 indirect permanent jobs. The project is also designed to meet Enterprise Green Community Certification and Passive House Certification for residential building performance. It will be a fully electric, ultra-efficient building that reduces greenhouse gas emissions in alignment with New York State's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, or the CLCPA, goals and broader climate objectives. To facilitate the project, ESD must override the New York City zoning resolution in accordance with the UDC Act. The GPP provides for design guidelines that specify the parameters for permitted development of the project in lieu of zoning. We have consulted with the City Planning Commission about the proposed project and zoning overrides and received a letter of recommendation from the Commission. As explained in the GPP, ESD will convey the project site to the developer for no cash consideration. ESD is also not financing the project, but financing is anticipated to be provided from both private sources and public sources. ESD and its consultants have prepared an environmental assessment of the project under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQRA, which concluded that the project will not result in any significant adverse impacts to the environment. Following the Director's adoption of the GPP, ESD is legally required to conduct a public hearing to inform the public about the proposed project and to receive and consider public comments. After the public hearing is held and the subsequent 30-day public comment period is concluded, we will review and evaluate any negative comments and request that the Directors affirm or modify the GPP at that time. Today, we seek the Director's approvals to adopt statutory findings for the project as a land use improvement under the UDC Act, adopt the proposed general project plan, make a determination of no significant effect on the environment under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, authorize a public hearing under Sections 6 and 10 of the UDC Act, and authorize all related actions. Pending approval, the developer will begin demolition of the existing facility within 6 months of title transfer and commence construction within 12 months. The project is expected to be completed by 2028, delivering sustainable, income-restricted homeownership opportunities and community resources to Harlem. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Very thorough report, Christopher. And I apologize if I don't remember, but are you relatively new, and is this the first time you're presenting?
No, it's not his first
we
time.
met in March, actually, for the Gowanus project, which, since due to the extension by the legislature of 421A, is no longer in effect.
Got it. But so this is your second presentation to us.
Yes.
Right. Well, great job again.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. No, very thorough. So we're approving we're approving the GPP. We're approving the neg deck, and we're authorizing you to go out and have the public hearing and any other actions that you may need to take. And the city is totally on board with this project.
Yes.
And very good. Does anybody have any questions for Chris? We're hearing none. We don't have any comment from the public on this. So I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. And I believe our last item is Creedmore Mixed Use Project. And Bob Tuttle, our Assistant Vice President for Real Estate, will present.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be presenting the general project plan and draft environmental impact statement for the proposed Creedmore mixed-use project in eastern Queens. Your materials contain the full details of the proposed projects, and I'll provide some highlights, and starting with just a little bit of background. The proposed project puts into action Executive Order 30, which directs state agencies to work together to develop housing on underutilized state-owned land. It's also an opportunity to help deliver on Governor Hochul and the New York State Legislature's most recent budget and associated legislation to address the city and state's housing crisis by increasing housing supply and creating affordable rental and homeownership units. For a little perspective, the 2023 New York City Housing and Vacancy Survey showed that rental vacancy rate in Queens was 0.9%. Note that a housing emergency is a rate below 5%. And the median sales price for homes in lower density neighborhoods like this one has increased 79% since 2010. What this means for many New Yorkers is that those who choose to stay in the city and rent are more often than not severely rent burdened, and those that want to become homeowners are often priced out of the market. With this as some context, let's take a look at one of the ways we're working to address this issue. The proposed project envisions the comprehensive redevelopment of a 59-acre project site located on the 125-acre Creedmore Psychiatric Center campus in eastern Queens. The property is owned by the Dormitory Authority of New York and operated by the New York State Office of Mental Health and the New York State Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. Due to changes in how services are provided by both of these agencies, OMH and OPWDD have consolidated their operations onto the remaining 66 acres of the campus, and this has left a portion of the campus underutilized. The proposed project would make this surplus state-owned property available for uses that would better serve the needs of the community while avoiding the carrying cost and potential liabilities to the state associated with holding title to depreciated and obsolete facilities. The proposed project is informed by the Creedmore Community Master Plan that was published last December. That master plan was developed through extensive community engagement consisting of in-person and virtual visioning sessions and meetings with community groups, civic associations, and elected officials. The proposed redevelopment would transform the gated and underutilized campus into a mixed-use community with visual and physical connections to better integrate the project site with the adjacent neighborhoods. The project would include much-needed mixed-income housing, public and private open space, community amenities, and neighborhood retail. The project's housing program is 2,775 units. 1,249 units would be affordable rental housing, with some units providing wraparound services to support the needs of seniors, individuals with mental illness, and our nation's veterans. And 1,526 units would be a mix of affordable and market-rate homeownership units. Mixed throughout the site would be community facilities, which are envisioned to include older adult centers, an early childhood education center, and a community recreation center. Additionally, the project includes small-scale retail to help meet some of the neighborhood retail needs for the area and also creates jobs. A public school is also part of this project, and that would be built as the need for additional seat capacity and funding is identified by the city's Department of Education and School Construction Authority. The proposed project would also include approximately 3,200 parking spaces and 12 acres of open space, 5 of which would be publicly accessible. Now, unlike the Lincoln Correctional Facility project that Chris just presented, ESD is the master planner for this project, so there is no development team partner at this time. Development would occur over multiple phases, each with a designated developer, with the first phase beginning in 2027 and the final phase completed in 2040. And we'll return to the board at each time that we have a new phase. To effectuate the proposed project, ESD would override zoning to allow for the development of more affordable housing than would be permissible under current zoning, and to implement other components consistent with the project's goals. ESD is creating design guidelines to be applied in lieu of the zoning, which would govern site planning, land uses, density and floor area, building heights and setbacks, parking and loading, and open space. A draft environmental impact statement was prepared by environmental consultants at VHB and has been reviewed by ESD staff and outside environmental counsel. VHB also prepared an existing conditions report that documents the current substandard conditions on the site. The report is needed to support the blight findings that ESD must make under the Urban Development Corporation Act for land use improvement projects such as this one. And the draft design guidelines, DIS, and existing condition reports are in your materials. We are now asking the directors to accept the draft environmental impact statement, adopt land use improvement and residential project findings, adopt the general project plan, authorize a public hearing on the DIS and GPP, and authorize ESD staff to take all related actions. A public hearing to receive comments on the GPP and DIS will be scheduled for late January of next year. After completion of the GPP and DIS review process, a final EIS will be prepared, and the directors will be asked to make SECRA findings and to affirm the GPP and design guidelines with any modifications to the current versions at a future board meeting. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Very good. Your turn now, Bob. Are you new here? And is this your first presentation to us?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
When did you join us?
I joined in March.
And what were you doing before that?
I was working at the Department of City Planning.
Oh, terrific. Great. So you can tell that Arden is building out a really good team of professionals, because we keep on getting involved in more and more projects, and the workload is pretty significant throughout the state. Arden, how big is our real estate group up to now?
33 people now.
Wow.
And for context, it was 12 when I got here.
Wow. Okay. So I can tell what you're building it out, and terrific job, Bob. Two questions for you. Just the total amount of units is 2,035?
2,775.
2,775. And how many phases do we envision?
We're envisioning 7 phases of housing development, and then there's an additional phase just for street development on an OMH portion of the property. But 7 would be for ESD, as far as like housing and retail and community amenities.
And do we envision that we would put out an RFP for each phase?
That's correct. Yep.
So there could be 7 different developers doing 7 different phases, or if we're happy with one, they could compete again.
They can compete.
And get, very good. And that'll happen over a period of time, and each time you pick a developer, you'll come back to the board for approval?
Correct.
Got it. And then we did get one comment from the public, and do we believe their concerns were addressed when you went over and summarized the preparation of the and the evaluation of the environmental impacts, and your recommendation that we adopt that?
Yes, their comments are comments that were also provided when we were doing the scoping meeting. So all of those would be responded to in the response to comments, but also analyzed in the DIS. I would just note that in addition to the housing crisis I spoke of, the context in which we are working to develop the plan is very much trying to take into the context of the neighborhood. So we know that this is a low-rise neighborhood, so we are putting the lowest 2-story homes nearest existing 2-story homes and ramping the site up to multifamily buildings along the center of the site and then along the major thoroughfares. The buildings on a psychiatric campus are also quite tall, so the context is set in a way that is different than the surrounding community. So
these are the big yellow buildings off the Grand Central Parkway as you're heading east, correct?
Yes, and none of our buildings will reach the 20 stories of the psychiatric center. But yes, it is adjacent to that. Yeah.
And we envision demolition and all new construction, and nothing will be higher than the structures that are currently there.
We have the tallest buildings that we're proposing right now are 8-story buildings, which are pretty consistent with some of the buildings which are 78 feet. So 85 feet is what we anticipate at an 8-story building. So yes, in that way it stays rather consistent. And then it will be, major infrastructure improvements, so sewer, water, roadways, and environmental remediation as we do the demolition for these buildings.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? For Bob, hearing none. We addressed the one comment from the public. There were no additional comments. So I will move this. Hilda seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Good job, Bob. And that concludes our official business of the day. Always like to get us out around 11. We're a little 5 minutes over, but close enough. Do any directors have any other business they'd like to raise at this point in time? Don't see any. I note that our next meeting is January 16th. I also note I did not have that on my schedule. And Deb, I would ask you to please send out a calendar of all the meetings for 2025 so we could all, populate our calendars with those dates. And, the sooner the better on that. January is already filling up. So that's it. On behalf of all the board members, I want to thank the staff and wish you and your families a very happy and healthy holiday season. Another great year. I say it at every meeting I learn something new, and today I learned that we're prison redevelopers. And it's all pretty cool. And so that is neat. But thank you. Again, happy holidays, happy new year. And we'll see you, I can't believe it's 2025 in January 16th. By then, too, the governor will have issued her State of the State address. And so I've never met a more pro-economic development governor. And so I'm sure there's going to be some surprises in her State of the State that could impact us. The budget will be coming out right about the same time as our next meeting. So we'll have some things maybe to discuss as well. So with that, I'll move to adjourn. Lorraine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.
You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.